What is up, everybody? Logan here again today with another video coming right at you, and today I'm going to jump into some technical analysis. I'm going to do 2 ETFs and 3 individual stocks I think you guys should pay attention to this week, ones that I'm going to watch. If you guys could take a brief second and leave a like on this video. Here's a picture of a monkey. Maybe it's over here, maybe it's up there. Use this time to leave a like on the video, and I really appreciate you guys doing that as always. Now, let's get over to the laptop. I'm going to take you guys through TradingView charts, and we're going to do very simple moving averages, the 9 EMA, the 50-day moving average, and the 200-day moving average. And then I'm also going to pull up the RSI as well in some of these. And I think this will give you guys a really simple understanding of the stocks and the direction it looks like they may move over the next week or so. You want to keep technical analysis as simple as possible, because you know what happens when someone has 3,000 lines drawn on their charts? They have no idea what they mean. But if you have 3 lines on your charts, that gives you a very solid understanding of what they mean, what they represent, and what you can expect the price to do around those levels. I've had so many people DM me pictures of their charts that just look absolutely atrocious because they have like 10 different lines here, and then they ask me what does mean reversion mean, and then they ask like it's atrocious. So we're going to keep this as simple as possible for you guys. Now let's hop into this one. So the first stock that we're going to start off with here is Nvidia. Now, Nvidia over the last couple of weeks has just gone ballistic. It has gone from a low of 544 all the way up to $774 roughly, before settling down on $750 on close on Friday. So let's set up our charts really quickly. We're going to move over to the 50-day moving average here, and then the 200-day moving average. So as you guys can see, Nvidia had chopped around the 200-day when tech was doing that as well, back around March, bouncing off of it a couple times. Before here, you guys can see we had a 9 EMA and 50-day EMA cross. So this is the 9, this is the 50, and this is the 200-day right here on Nvidia. Now, if we look at Nvidia from a standpoint of it just running, first I want to start off by saying we're extended from the 9 EMA. Stocks are very healthy when they stay really close to it and can stay above the 9. And as you can see, Nvidia has rallied up, proceeded to pull back to it, bounced off of it again here, and then they rallied all the way up to 774 before pulling back about 25 points later that day. Now, a lot of that had to do with quad witching this coming week, but if we take a deeper dive, this is not the best looking candle, right? This is one of the most bearish candles whenever a stock tests a level and then gets shut down for most of the movement throughout the day. And then I also want to take the 200-day off, and we're going to add something called the RSI, which is the Relative Strength Index. Take a look at the last few times that Nvidia was up in this range, right? The RSI in the past 14 days, I mean, we're looking at like an 80, 85 RSI back here, and then it proceeded to sell from 600 down to 480. We even had it up at 71 way back here in February, and that pulled back from 600 to 471. And then the last time as well, when we were at 73, we pulled back over the long term of that last month from mid-April to mid-May before picking back on track. So that's something we got to take into consideration, is anytime the RSI for me, which we're currently sitting at 7750, as you guys can see over here, when we're looking at the RSI, right, and the relative strength index on these stocks, I personally think Nvidia needs to pull back, from my personal opinion, from being extended over the 9 EMA. But I'm not saying go and purchase Nvidia puts that expire this week because it's got to pull back this week, right? Now, the market does whatever it wants to do. So looking at it from a bearish aspect, I will most likely play call spreads on it if I play it this week, saying that the stock isn't going to go above a certain point, and I'm going to grab the insurance above that to make sure that I don't have unlimited loss if I was just to sell that call completely naked, right? I don't want to open myself up to that unlimited risk. So I would buy the insurance on that, maybe the 790, 795 expiring in 2 weeks or so, and try to collect premium, or 800, 810 saying, hey, I don't think Nvidia is going to come all the way up to here because the RSI is already at 7750. But that doesn't mean that Nvidia tomorrow when we wake up is going to plummet down to 719, 717, back to the 9. So that's the first stock I'm watching, simply just from a perspective that it's completely overextended. Now let's hop over to the first fund that I'm going to check out this week, which is CLOU. This is the Cloud Computing ETF. This has stocks like Docusign, Zoom, to name a couple, right? So if we can see here, I'm going to draw a line because I know a lot of you guys like to watch YouTubers that draw a lot of lines. That's one thing I've observed, right? You guys love lines. So let's draw a line here. First, let's look at the RSI actually. So we're at 69.29 on the RSI, right? As you guys can see in the bottom left, pushing that 70 mark, saying that we are currently pretty overbought in the relative of the last 14 trading days. So if we look over here, we seem to have double bottomed back on May 10th, which has well over been a month and a half from now. And we had just recently had the 9 cross the 50 and getting back on trend in more of a bullish pattern. So let's draw a quick line here, right? We'll put it here, we'll draw it all the way over here of some resistance, right? This is where the last time the stock tested that, it had fallen through before plummeting down to 24. You guys got to remember this is an ETF. So when this ETF goes from 28 to 24, that's over a 10% move on the ETF. I'm using the daily chart right now. So then if we zoom in and we take a look right here, we had the same thing happen where we tested this range around 28.30 multiple times before then pulling back a second time down to the same level of about $24. And now we did it again. We actually on Friday bounced off that same level and then the candle closed below it around 28.06. So for any of these stocks, look at this as a level of, okay, the RSI is at 70, saying that it's overbought. Now, if we take a look at this, this is another time that we're trying to break through this resistance level. If we can break through this, we could see this continue to move up maybe a little bit more, just because it's on a very strong trend right now. But I know we moved across this moving average. We've done this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, which is usually as long as most squeezes last when it comes to anything breaking past of, a moving average. So when it comes to cloud for this week, or CLOU, CLOU, any of these stocks, I'm really curious to see how they move. I personally think what's going to happen is we're going to open around 27.88 tomorrow, like within the first hour or so. Gap down just a little bit and then slowly pull back to touch the 9 EMA, and then once we do that, we can see if we're ready to recharge for another move forward. And if that's not the case, I think we begin to pull back to the 50 and that CLOU will be hovering right through here. So this is the ETF that I'm looking at, just a really strong level here of resistance. So if these stocks aren't able to move through here, Zoom, Docusign, just to name a couple, Palantir's in here, a lot of them at the top of their range, top of their RSI levels, right? Top of their squeeze levels. Just keep that in mind when it comes to these stocks. Okay, so let's hop over to another individual stock that I'm going to be watching this week, which is Apple. So the reason I'm watching Apple this week is because of where it is. The 200-day is moving like right under here. I know I don't have it drawn right now because I have the RSI, the 9, and the 50. But it looks like the 9 is about to cross the 50-day, which can create more bullish movement. The RSI is ticking back up towards 70. So first I think we pull back, remount the 50 and the 9 one more time, just bounce off of it. Let's look at Apple just from a sake of the relative strength. The market sold off Friday pretty heavily, but guess what? Tech did not. Tech stayed pretty strong. I think it's the first time we've seen tech really hold its weight on a day that the overall market was down 1.5%. So anytime we see that, I always look at this as a positive. But who's to say that Apple doesn't just top over here again and push back down to retest the 200-day, which is right now currently around 124. I can pull this up real quick. Now see, yeah, if I do the 200-day, that's hanging out around 124.16. So we can see that happen as well. But I like where tech is in relative of almost every other sector right now. So let's hop over to QQQ. I'll dive in a little bit more in depth on QQQ as well. As you guys can see, we're at the top of the range. Very far extended from the 200-day, but let's put the 50-day back in really quickly. You can see the RSI too is hovering right around where Apple is, right at 60, but we're holding the 9, we're holding the 50 pretty strong. But now we have what was a double top before pulling back. We broke through that to new highs, and I think we pull back to this and maybe start to treat it as support. So if we draw a line right there, boom. It's right where we pretty much settled on Friday. I'll zoom in a little more for people who really like lines, and you can see that we're hopping off of it right here. So it's a good spot to be, I would think, for tech, and if anything, I think we'll hover in this range the rest of the week if we don't continue up and retest the high. But I think we hover in this range this week as we have things like SPY falling through key support levels and the Russell also pulling back this week. And with the RSI at 60, I think we need to pull back a little bit more, so expect us to hover around here, but don't go all in on QQQ puts because you watched your favorite YouTuber say, hey, I think this is a little bit extended. Now, the fifth and final stock I'm going to dive into this week for us is Docusign. So let's look at Docusign. Super strong move off of an earnings, right? Good earnings report here. They did not expect Docu to do that well, and it gapped up from 196 all the way to 232 and has steadily been increasing since then, with a breakout all the way to one of its old highs and an old resistance level. So let's draw another line here. Docu also bounced off of this line on Friday. We first got that move right here. You guys can see we got the cross of the 9 and the 50. And Docu is now very extended from the 9. The 9 EMA is currently at 250.90 right now. And with it bouncing off of this line that just disappeared on me, you guys can see we jumped right off this level at 296. Docu did the same thing on Friday. The RSI over here is at 77.66 right now. Last time we were up this high with the RSI was way back in September, and we had really fallen down over the next few days, being extended off of that 9 like crazy back there. So that's what we're seeing over here. Of course, it's not as dramatic of a move as we've had as of recent. This was off of a price target raise, but in general, this looks like it wants to pull back under 260 this week, right? The body of this last Friday candle. So let's keep this in mind coming into this week. I think this is a great time to play some maybe 290 call spreads. So I'm going to be looking at those this week and potentially taking an entry. But this is my quick technical analysis on the week from all the stocks that I'm seeing. This is a stock that's in CLOU, right? The cloud and computing ETF, where it's right at that level of a bunch of resistance. So if Docusign pulls back and the ETF pulls back, I could see just that sector pulling back in general after having another strong week. Now Docusign this week ran from about 244 all the way up to 274, which is a good 30-point move. So just an absolutely ballistic week of like 10%. So I'd expect this guy to pull back pretty soon, especially with where the RSI is. So that's something else to keep in mind. But that's going to be everything for me. If you guys would like to join the Discord to follow along with our plays, the link is in the description below, as you already know. I appreciate you making it this far, and I hope that this provides some value to your trading this week. So make sure you take a look at CLOU, QQQ, Apple, Nvidia, and Docusign, as I think they're at some key levels right now, and this could help you trade a little bit better this week. That's going to be everything for me. We're going to have more videos coming out this week, and I appreciate all the support as always, and I will see you guys in the next video.